Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Today's video is going to be a Halloween witch wreath. So let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm starting off with a wired wreath and then some Deco Mesh from the Dollar Tree. I picked up 6 in total, so 3 of the black and 3 of the purple. I'm also going to go in with some chenille ties and just split them in half. So the first thing that I'm going to do is unravel the Deco Mesh, and I'm going to layer it just because it's very thin and I want the black to be very prominent, so I'm going to layer that one on the top and the purple on the bottom. And then I'm just going to gather it at the end and take the chenille tie to tie it off. From this point, I'm going to go ahead and tie it onto the wreath. So now it's time to start feeding the Deco Mesh through the rings of the wreath to form loops. And that was kind of a tongue twister, but it's very simple. So you're just going to go through the first loop, which is the bottom, and then into the middle loop. And then you're going to go into the third. And you want to keep in mind that you want to hold everything together so that it doesn't unravel. And at the same time, it's going to be a little difficult to kind of work with the Deco Mesh just because it is layered and it will kind of stick together, but it just takes a lot of patience for this project. So when you're done with the 3 loops, you're going to push everything over to the side, and then you're just going to twist it a couple of times, and then you're going to bring the Deco Mesh back down to the bottom ring again, and you're just going to repeat this entire process throughout the whole wreath. So here's a little side note. I'm not sure if you've noticed that there's like sections on the wreath. So there's pretty much like a vertical wire just going down, and that's a section. And the current section that I'm working on, I've already repeated this process about 3 times, and I'm going to go in for a 4th time. So it's really just your preference. Again, the size of your loops, if you will, are really optional at the same time. So I like mine to be a little fuller and a little tighter, so that's how come I'm going to go in 4 times within each section. Okay, so when you've used up all of your mesh, to secure it, what you're going to do is grab a piece of chenille tie, tie off the end, and then secure it onto the wired wreath. And then wherever you ended is where you're going to start, and you'll start exactly the way we started the wreath. And I apologize because I had footage for this, but I didn't realize that my camera stopped filming, so it didn't catch that part of where I started, of where I ended, and that was a lot of start and ends in one sentence. But if you have any questions, this is why I am here. I would love to just guide you and help you along the way. So one of the props that I'm going to be using is this witch's hat, and I'm just going to take off the tags. I'm also going to take off the boo sign that it has, as well as the faux buckle. And then I will go in to adjust it to the middle of the wreath. But before I tie down anything, what I want to do is go in with some ribbon that I picked up at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to measure and cut a piece because I'm going to glue everything down later. The next prop that I will be using are these witches' legs, and all I'm going to do is cut them off from the ring of where they hang from. Before I tie anything down, I'm going to go in and fill the legs with polyfill. You can use plastic bags or leave them as is. I'm actually just recycling this polyfill from a project that I did last year, but whatever you decide to do, it will look just as good. So now I'm going to start assembling everything, and I'm going to start with the witch's hat. And I'm going to glue down the strip of ribbon that I cut down earlier. And I'm just going to glue it down at an angle so that it's nice and tug on the other side. I'm sorry, nice and snug on the other side. So now that I've glued down the ribbon onto the hat, I'm going to attach the hat onto the wreath now. And to tie it on, what I'm going to use is the Chanel tie, but I'm going to use a full one as opposed to the ones that I was cutting down earlier. And simply, I'm just going to turn the hat over and feed it through the corners of the hat. And then I will attach it onto the wreath and make sure it's secure. Now, I didn't show this, but I did also place one at the very top of the hat so that it stayed in place. So there's two on the bottom and then one on the top of the hat. Let me know if you have any questions about that. Now I'm just attaching the legs to the wreath with the glue gun, and I'm using the clips that I picked up at the Dollar Tree just to mark where I want the legs to be. There are some days where I'm just not feeling it, and this is one of those days. So I decided to hang up the wreath so that I could see it from a different point of view. And I just put the broom on there, and I'm putting this foliage, and I'm not necessarily going to glue the foliage down just yet because I want to put some ribbon on there. I just I knew something was missing, and for whatever reason, ribbon just makes wreaths look a lot better. So I'm cutting all of the ribbon that I have about 6.5 inches long. I actually think that 7 would look a lot nicer, but I decided just the 6.5 since that's how I started with. And I'm going to make little clusters of 3, but while I'm cutting the ribbon, I'm just going to dovetail it so I don't have to do it when I've already made the clusters. The very last step is to attach everything onto the wreath, and I'm going to start with the ribbon because all the other embellishments are going to be fillers, to say the least. And I didn't even get a lot of embellishments. I just have some bats that were from projects like 2 years ago. And then, of course, you saw the foliage and the broom, and that was it. But I'm a very simple stylist, basically. I like my wreaths to be very simple and very minimal, but very festive at the same time. But I also wanted to bring a wreath to you that was all Dollar Tree, and on top of that, just budget friendly, so I didn't go too crazy with all the embellishments. And I really hope you guys enjoy the outcome. And this is what the final project looks like. It's just so simple, minimal, very festive. I'm loving it. And this is actually the second time I make this wreath. The first time I made them and sold them to raise money for charity. So I went a little bit more simple on this one just to, you know, be a little bit more budget friendly like I mentioned earlier. So let me know if you guys really like this, and if you recreate this, I would love to see your guys' recreations. I'm going to leave my Instagram handle down below for you in the description box so you can tag me and I can see your beautiful recreations. And until then, my lovely friends, have a beautiful and blessed day. Bye.